So I'll call the meeting to order at 5:34. Are there any adjustments to the agenda?
I do have a couple. Yesterday I had a request from the White Whitney Fund to do the approval for the annual gifts that I did not put on here. And I also, Eva came to the Affordable Housing Committee meeting last night, and she would like to be appointed to the committee. I did email her and tell her that it wasn't warned, so it's gonna be up to you whether you guys wanna do that.
It's very competitive.
Are they shy a member?
No,
or
she's
is
been
there
on
a
for it,
specific
sorry.
Well,
number?
and
I don't know.
And she, actually, Jim Oliver resigned, so,
Oh, he did?
No,
Yeah.
I didn't know if it was a fixed number.
No, Eva has been on and would like to be back on. Also, I spoke to, I don't know whether I spoke to Francis Temple today, and he's happy to continue being.
oh, okay.
He hadn't been notified, so that's why he didn't make it last night.
Did
but
we
he's-
mail those?
Other people received them by mail.
Yeah, okay.
He said maybe he just missed it.
Yeah,
I don't
okay.
know,
But he does want
But
to.
he said he'd be happy to, and I told him there was a meeting scheduled for February
Okay.
1st, so.
So those were the two things that, the White Whitney Fund, I mean, technically, we didn't put that on the agenda either, but that's something that needs to be done. We don't have another meeting before that can be done, and I just got the request yesterday, so. So those are the two adjustments. And we can
Okay.
bring those up under new business when we get there.
All right.
I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes of December 2nd and December
It's
11th.
actually the 9th, it's not the
Oh.
11th.
December, oh yeah, of course, that makes sense, December 2nd and December 9th.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I will second that. Excuse me. Sorry.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We don't have a town plan hearing tonight, do we?
No, but we're gonna adopt it. I
Adopt
don't know
it.
what, we
Oh.
have to like formally just have a vote, right, to adopt the town
Mhm.
plan?
Okay, I'll make a motion that we adopt the town plan as it has been presented to us.
You just wanted to hear that vote, didn't you?
Wait a minute, we're not through yet.
That's right.
I've only read-
Well, he
I
wanted
haven't
to hear
even
that
heard-
motion.
I haven't even heard a second yet.
Okay, well,
And I will second.
All right, so it's been moved and seconded. Any further comments? This is your time to really.
Just
put it down.
to thank Vic for all his hard work
Yeah.
and others who participated, and
Reiterate.
Have you been
Thanks for your
copied on emails about Windham Regional's plan to meet before the next planning
Oh, were you
commission
talking about-
meeting to go through their process of approval of or acceptance of the town plan?
I haven't seen, you have
Just
seen
recently, there was a bunch of them all of a sudden.
Yeah, well, I was not sure about the process, so a couple of people responded. But I think there's a planning commission meeting scheduled for January 12th. And I think that an hour before, so I presume 6 o'clock on January 12th, the committee from Windham Regional, I think it's representatives from other towns who are on this plan approval committee, will meet, review Putney's plan, and then act on accepting or rejecting it. And this is the next step in the process. The municipality adopts it, and then we don't have to, but we've always presented it to Windham Regional for their approval. And other benefits come when it's approved. And it
yeah, we
always-
need that approval
Yeah.
from Windham Regional to get our renewal of our village center designation, so.
And it always has been, sometimes with good comments, receives, often is read, which is great.
Yeah.
So some feedback. So just to let you know that the select board's invited, the planning commission's invited, not mandatory participation. And I think it's, more of a procedural step. So just if you saw it in your inbox, that's what it was about.
Okay. And that's January 12th,
Yep.
2016.
Yep. And
6 p.m.
I don't know whether this is a good time to just interject briefly that Katie Buckley from Windham Windsor Housing Trust visited with the Affordable Housing Committee, as you heard, to present a project for Depot Road that you may all be familiar with. But I think she said that she was going to formally present it to the select board. But because we were a public committee, now it's a public announcement, and there was some interest on Becky Coffey's part of having the announcement, perhaps the meeting minutes shared with the Commons. So don't be surprised if something comes out from that. But that was the appropriate or a reasonable response to having a public meeting about it.
And I met with Katie today, so I
That's great.
came up to speak
Okay.
with her. So.
And so generally positive
Send it that
response.
way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay.
Thanks, Ben.
Thank you.
Well,
Do you want to hear the final vote? You want to make sure that it,
I'm so
It's still on the raises
It's
head.
still hanging.
yeah, still deciding. All in
Sorry.
favor?
one of you should.
Aye.
Aye.
I'm sorry. That's funny.
There's music to your ears.
Unanimous.
You sent your chair, come to a vote now.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right,
See ya.
thank you. Okay. Public Service Board application, solar system.
Yep, in your packet, there's just the initial letter. It's from Sovereign Solar, that's what I say on the front. No, that's all your minutes.
No, it's not in that packet. It's-
There it is.
yeah.
So I attached the map of where the new proposed solar project will be going. This is one of those. We're notifying you the project is coming in and that they're applying to the Public Service Board. So I just wanted to know if you guys had any comments. I did, just as I was done getting everything ready tonight, I got an email from, I'm not sure who it actually came from, but the Division of Historic Preservation is actually asking for a hearing for this because they have some concerns about the historic nature. Is that the Houghton Farm?
What is Small Meadows?
It's
Road?
up by,
You know where Alan
this
Lund
is
lives
Shoals.
on there, I think?
This is, yeah, it's the
Alan Lund.
Earth Bridge area.
It's right after all those
Are
cars.
you sure that's in regards to this one and not, this is
Oh, no,
with
maybe that
regards
was
to,
the
this
Leah.
is the one
Oh,
at
you're
Putney
right.
School. Yeah,
That's
Elm
the
Lane
Putney
renewable
School one.
application.
Sorry, I was focused on this one, you're right.
Oh, okay, Small, it's the red house driveway.
Had you seen that? I just got it today.
I have not seen it.
Do you wanna take it? Cause I don't.
Sure.
Okay, I can get another copy. So, I don't have anything to add to this.
So, Small Meadows, so who's, Sovereign's, right, okay.
Yeah, and they're doing it on behalf
So it's the
of-
large pasture that's just to the
It's called
south.
Small
Except
Meadows
the-
Community
and it's-
Solar.
Except
It
it's
looks like
south
they're cutting
of
it.
that.
Right, it's south of that, looks like they're cutting into the tree clearance. Interesting.
Sort of above Stephen.
Right, yeah, that's his
40.
property right there.
Up here it says it's okay. That's what was cut into that field. You know how he
Oh,
cuts
it is.
stuff into that field?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that what that says?
I think
Oh,
so.
yeah. No, I think it says it's on.
Oh, is it on?
I think so.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. maybe.
It's
Right, to
okay.
the solar.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, I don't,
Right, these maps.
I don't send it.
just wanted to make sure.
Looks like it'd be pretty invisible.
Yeah, the only thing I wanna say related to solar in general in town is there is going to be a question, I think, raised by the tax exempt committee, and actually Kathleen asked me about it, about revisiting that vote of the exemption, the alternative energy exemption that we did a few years ago, now that the law has changed a bit. She questioned whether we should have it on the warning again to discuss it. I mean, there's a lot of value in some of these solar.
She's talking about the residential size or these?
just-
'Cause
no,
we-
these.
These are, did we exclude ones? of
Under a
this
certain
scale?
size.
Yeah,
Right,
well, I
exactly,
think that's
but-
part of it. At the time, it was a different scale when we actually voted on it. So some of that has changed a little bit, you know, and I don't know exact, so the attorney is coming in Monday to meet with the tax exempt committee to answer some of their
Okay.
questions
So we should
about
make sure that-
statutes, and that's gonna be one of them.
Okay, good, well,
So, I mean, not that, I think it just needs to be discussed whether we need to discuss it at town meeting again or not.
Right.
I mean, there's been a lot of activity since that vote was taken, so.
from my perspective, that wouldn't preclude us from, any discussion about that
No.
would not preclude us from looking favorably on this. It just,
Right.
if that's gonna happen, these folks should maybe know that there might be tax implications,
Yeah.
but I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. We're announcing that publicly right now, so,
Well, do you remember what our limit was? This is 150 kilowatt.
yeah, I think that was, I thought it was under 15 is what we.
Yeah,
I was
there-
thinking it was
That's
something.
just the residential.
Right.
Yeah, but
Makes
there is
sense.
not one of them right now that I believe is taxed for, there's a certain criteria, and I can't, we went through it back when we did the grand list this last time, and I can't remember exactly,
What the vote was.
and it was because the law had changed, the way that we had to,
Address them.
yeah, because our vote was not for a certain size, it was voting based on what the statute said, and the statute has since changed. So our vote wasn't specific to the size, it was saying whatever this statute says, we agree with, that we will
Right.
exempt them, and since then that has changed.
Well, you could suggest to Nancy, I mean, presumably town council will be able to answer, but VLCT would probably have
Yeah,
some recommendations
Yeah.
on this as well, because I'm sure they're dealing with it with other towns
Yeah.
too, so.
well, there are only, I don't wanna be quoted on this, but there are very few towns that have voted to exempt them. Westminster's
Oh,
actually
sorry.
putting on their, warning either this year or discussing putting it on there to rescind that exempting.
Which
that-
they did.
Right now, yeah,
Well, we should
So-
see what the law says. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm guessing that VLCT would have a good sense
Yeah.
of what the statutory
yeah, so
aspects of it are.
I'll have them bring that up with them, but we have no comments on this particular,
I wondered, I mean, this is something that popped in my head. I wonder if there should be a differentiation also between solar, especially for houses privately owned, between grid tied and people who are using them independently.
yeah.
Because you could look at it as just their own personal utility,
Utility.
whether they're burning wood or whatever they're
I
doing.
think there is a net metering language in there too. It's like
Mhm.
if it's a net metering, I know, that's why I say the law, that's why it'll be good to have Larry Monday night talk with the committee about, there are differences in the law that were written in this last
Mhm.
time, I think, to address just that.
Okay.
Whereas before it was more vague.
There are very
Yeah.
few
Right, I mean, and
off the grid at this point.
Yeah,
But-
Right, but
they're-
do
with
we
the
test
Tesla-
other energy sources like a concrete pad with a boiler, an external, an outside boiler, or something like that? Is that?
Wasn't it appraised
Tax
like on that one that we looked at?
Or a small windmill, I realize
The-
there, again, with implications on size.
Those are covered in this statute,
Okay,
because
I'm
it's,
just curious, man.
yeah, it's not, it
Sort of
doesn't just say
right.
solar, it says alternative
Oh.
energy sources.
Right, and I guess what
It's
is
probably
considered
bio-
alternative as opposed to, your own fusion reactor in the background, in the
Yeah.
backyard or
Which
something like
might
that.
be alternative also.
Right.
Yeah, that's why we need,
It's just fossil fuels, I think, that aren't alternative.
Right, okay.
that's why we need that
That's
clarification.
probably the designation, right, okay. All right.
So,
I could be wrong about that, but
I have
Mhm.
that's
just
my sense.
okay.
any irrelevant, curious question.
Do we need to?
We don't need to do
Actually,
anything,
okay.
if you have no comments that you want me to respond with, then I'll just let it be.
I mean, the only other potential, I guess, comment is, it's just this aesthetics. I mean, I guess here it doesn't seem as bad because there's no houses around, but I keep thinking of that place on 5 in Westminster,
Yeah,
and it doesn't seem like it's gonna adversely affect anyone like
No, it looks like they're leaving a tree.
Yeah.
Probably not.
It looks like they're leaving a tree buffer,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. Insurance quotes and selection of insurance company.
Okay, so there should be a spreadsheet in your packet that shows, I got a quote from our current, oh, I need to clarify something, they did not drop us. That, no. I totally read the word in the one, and I read it like,
I was thinking, wow,
they did increase our
that's
price
standard
by about
practice,
$10,000, but, so I just wanted to clarify that. So in the spreadsheet, it shows the current carrier, and then what Passive was the other, insurance company that I called, which is the league. This is just the price comparison.
The gap is tightening a little though.
Well, yeah, and if you add, I had to add in on the current carrier side, the employee assistance program, the drug testing, mandatory drug testing, and the bonding for our public officials, which brought that up to $79,213 as opposed to the $83,127. So we're like at a $4,000 difference right now.
And what do we get, what would we get from Passive that we
So-
don't get from our current?
One of the things that they wanted me to share with you tonight were VLCT. These were their highlights and distinctions of what they offer municipalities that may not be offered by another insurance company. And the ones that kind of stick out for me are the grant possibilities that we can have, which is almost down to the bottom, up to $5,000 per year as a 50-50 matching grant for pre-approved equipment that helps reduce loss and claims. Scholarships for some training.
Do you know what an example of that
I'm
would
trying to
be?
think of what the last one that we talked about
5,000 per
getting.
year.
I don't know, I can't think off the top of my head right now. The other thing that I was kind of interested in that I didn't know about was the very last thing on here. They call it TULIP.
Yeah.
It's an easy way for citizens to obtain liability insurance when renting municipal facilities.
Oh.
And that would have been a help for the bike.
And or for the, well, I don't know whether that was an issue, but when Mike Henkel was
No,
renting
he had his
the
own
fire
liability
station,
insurance.
did he?
He
But
did,
it's something
but
we
it could be,
we could
yeah.
offer.
Yeah. The one that came to mind was when Daniel was trying to get insurance for this little building for the bike program. That was one thing that came to mind. The trainings, we always sign up for trainings that we're always having to pay full price, like the different VLCT programs, you know, that they put on. They're not huge prices anyways, but the other thing is that just in the overall just limits that we have between the two companies, VLCT's limits are 10 million. I didn't put that on there, I just put the prices. So our current carrier, we have total blanket coverage for our buildings right now of 6 million. So if we were to lose, the total value of our buildings is around 6.3 million. So that's what they put our coverage at. So let's say the fire station is a $600,000 building. That's how they've come up with this amount. If we rebuild and it's 1.5 million, it will cover that because of our blanket coverage. I mean, obviously, hopefully we won't lose every building in town all at the same time. That would be bad.
Yeah.
The other coverages through the league are, theirs is 10 million. And then they have a $50 million aggregate for the members. So like if Brattleboro, Dummerston, Putney, let's say there's some type of massive, you know,
Catastrophe.
hurricane, whatever it is that wipes out 3 of their members all at one time, there's a $50 million aggregate between those 3. You know, it's split between all of us. The deductibles are about the same, $1,000 for everything.
So if you looked at that on a bigger scale, is there a limit to the number of entities included in that 50 million at once?
Their members.
So,
Yeah,
so
a bigger
if there were a
scale.
huge catastrophe in the state, 50 million is not a lot of money.
No,
And we don't have that limit with our current carrier.
no, we have the $6 million.
That's all it would be,
ours, yeah.
right?
Plus our other, you know, if there's, that's $6 million for the buildings, that contents is another $1 million.
Is it completely clear to you that if there were a statewide thing, 50 million would be the cap or not? Because if that's the case, that might be worth, you know, I mean, you think of
Yeah.
an Irene.
But if our first, there is 10 million, that's our own limit.
So
Well,
that's
no,
above
that-
and
no,
beyond,
no,
or is
that
it
wouldn't
50 total?
It would be 50 total for one occurrence. I have to get that clear. I have to get that
Yeah,
more clear.
might be worth.
Okay, so I
exactly
will,
what that means.
so the other thing that our current carrier mentioned, which I have a call into Larry at VLCT, is he talked about this government immunity. I guess the league can, and I don't know a lot about it, this was my first kind of discussion about it. The league insurance, they can on our behalf, just like any insurance company, they're gonna fight paying something or not, you know, when something happens. They can claim government immunity, that we have immunity to being sued to this particular claim. Because our current carrier is a commercial carrier, they cannot do that. So he said you can look at it both, you can look at it one of 2 ways. As a positive, that, you know, you have an insurance company that can, on your behalf, because you're a government entity, claim this immunity. Or you can look at it on, well, do we want our insurance company to be able to do that because these are our citizens? If we hit somebody with a plow truck, you know, wouldn't we want our insurance to help somebody? But I'm not clear on when you can claim this. I mean, if that was the case, I would think they would claim it on everything, so they'd never have to pay. I don't understand, like, what would make them say.
Maybe we should find
And
that
that's,
out
I have a
too.
call on that,
You know,
yeah.
I mean, for example, and this is probably true with our carrier, you know, acts of terrorism. You know, you're generally not covered for certain things.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether they have a list of those things that they don't cover or whether it's a, you know.
I mean, the example
individual-
he used with me was if your plow truck hits somebody and kills them, you know, they're walking on down the sidewalk and the plow hits somebody and it kills them, your insurance company has the right to claim government immunity. And I'm like, but what can they just, I mean, why would, I don't understand that. Like, what would make them say that? Would it be because they don't think we're at fault? Or otherwise, I'm not sure why.
That was the
insurance company-
VLCT person who told you
No,
that? Who said that?
our
Or
other
was the
carrier.
other? Oh.
They can't claim that on their
Right.
behalf.
So we should just clarify.
Yeah,
with
so that was the
VLCT.
other thing I was gonna clarify.
I still don't understand though, why do they get government immunity? I mean, they're-
We get government immunity. We can
but-
because we're a
but-
municipality.
But this
It's a-
passive can offer it.
It's probably because they are I don't know what the
I don't know
proper
what the
term is,
proper
but
term
there's
is, too.
they're
not a
a
commercial-
they're a pseudo, actually, you know,
They're
I'm almost
nonprofit.
sure they, yes, but,
Member owned, so if we're a member.
they have a relationship with the state, which I'm not sure exactly what it looks like, but, I want to say that
I'll have them explain that a little better to me. I would really love for them to come here, but we're running out of time to sign up for,
Right.
I just got the LCT's quote yesterday. So we're running out of time to pick a company by, the next meeting we have is the 30th. We could meet quickly in between if I get some of this stuff a little bit clearer in my head. Insurance to me is very It's so confusing. The other positive with VLCT is that there are several other communities that obviously are part of passive. If we start doing any of this shared municipal, like sharing an animal control officer, it might make, I don't know if it's gonna make a
Give
difference,
us
it
a
might
little-
make that easier, if we all have the same insurance company.
Well, that could be an equipment grant to help prevent
Oh.
losses, like
Yeah,
Something like
that's true. Well, maybe,
of some type, yeah.
yeah.
I think one of the, I'll try, like I said, I just got this yesterday, I tried to put it together today, but I'll try to do more of a side-by-side of the limits. And if I can get that out to you guys, and maybe we can try to meet, I'll get these other questions answered. I told both of the companies that because I got everything so late, we probably wouldn't decide tonight anything. But it is a $4,000 gap compared to what we were looking at before.
Which
Yeah,
was
yeah,
significant.
Yeah.
Yeah, 15 anyway,
Yeah, it's
that was a
not
lot.
So,
And do you know, not that this matters, but do the majority of towns in Vermont go under passive
yeah,
or
I
not?
mean, when I go to a conference and
Almost everyone,
I'm like, well, I don't have passive, but,
yeah.
yeah.
And everyone goes,
They're all like, what?
what a radical town.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so I will in the next, probably Mondays, by Monday, send you out some more information, get some of those other questions answered. And see if we can, and then the December 30th meeting, we'll have to approve one or the other, so we'll have to make a decision by then. I mean, I've never had a problem with our current carrier,
No,
paying. We did fight with them a little bit about the break over but that was to be
Not
expected. I
surprising.
mean, it was hard to
Yeah.
prove what went wrong
Mhm.
there, so I didn't blame them in that at all. They had to, and I don't know what Passive's record is for increasing. I mean, really, we haven't had a lot of claims, and it was surprising to me that 1 year made us jump $10,000. Really, I mean, our claims between even the 2 robberies, a couple fender bender kind of things, and that was what, 125,000.
Mm-hmm.
We have $1 million limits.
Yeah.
It really wasn't. But
Especially
that's what
when
happens. I mean, I get it.
especially when we're forking out 70,000 a year,
Yeah.
year after year.
So, but Passive may be the same way. They may do
Well, we
these.
could probably ask them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So. All right. So
Okay.
there's no decision that needs to be made on that. I'll work on. If we decide one way or the other, it doesn't affect the budget all that much because they're so close.
Right.
So that won't affect the.
Right. The big picture.
Not looking at, $20,000 or $25,000 difference. Do we wanna do the White Whitney?
So yeah, White Whitney Fund.
They did not
Do
give
we
me
need-
any names at all.
Okay, so we don't need to go into
No.
executive session.
We changed that last year,
Yeah,
they just
I know.
asked for.
Yeah.
So the White Whitney Oversight Committee met, and they're asking to expend $3,100 for annual gifts. And it will be distributed throughout 39 Putney families. So it's not a name thing, it's just approving.
I'll make a motion that we accept the recommendation of the White Whitney Fund Committee to expend $3,100.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. No further discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then Eva for the Affordable Housing Committee.
So moved.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
If you see her tonight, are you going to the thing at next stage?
Yes.
Let her know.
I will.
Sorry.
Yeah, break her in easily.
Yeah, yeah.
Break it to her easily.
Okay.
All right, so budget.
Highway. So I gave you a copy of the highway budget. I tried to find that Vermont, wage increase percentage. I could not find it.
You know, I saw it on it's estimated at this point.
Okay.
But it's estimated at 2.75.
Okay,
But I don't know, I meant to ask the CFO up there about it and I forgot.
Okay.
So I don't know how they came up
okay.
with that number.
So in this budget that's in front of you is the 2% that we talked about at the last meeting. Brian and I there was some discussion about adding a fifth, how many do we have right now? 5, so 6.
6 person.
A 6-person part-time, not part-time, full-time, someone that was gonna do lawn stuff and then just, and just start adding that 6-person. I did the budget both ways, as somebody starting at a low pay scale. And
It wouldn't decrease the hours of anybody else.
it would not.
Right.
Between him and I and talking about the timing of when the sidewalk comes in, which is his major concern. He knows that once that sidewalk comes in, there's going to be a need for more help. He could use more help right now, but that's, I think, the driving force behind him wanting to get this moving. And because of the timing of that, we're not sure that the part from Baskerville up to Landmark will even be done by this next fiscal year. He said, let's hold off. If for some reason that it does, and we have to hire somebody in the winter, we'll have to hire somebody, but it won't be a full year's worth of salary. So we did not put an extra person in right now. He's
Okay.
just gonna kind of see how it goes, yeah.
Right.
So all of the employee benefits, all of the wages are still at the same, crew. There is some money in there for a call-in plow person, which that's always been in there. So overall, everything else is pretty much level funded. The one thing I'm waiting on is an estimate on that Hickory Ridge Road culvert, because we will have to have a match to that project. I called him, I haven't heard back from him. We may leave the budget the way it is unless I hear something in the next few weeks, but we may be able to squeeze out our match out of this budget anyways. It depends on if it's gonna be labor or, how much higher it comes in than what we're getting. So that might be a change, but I don't know, I haven't even heard from him.
So why are we dropping the salary line item?
I think it dropped because last year we had the part-time position in there.
Okay, so that even though we
Yeah,
didn't have somebody doing that, it was still funded.
it was still funded,
Right.
yes,
Right.
yeah. So this is the year that it's
That's
dropping
what I
off, yeah.
that's what I assumed.
Yep. So overall, in this budget, we're up 1.4. In this
Just in the highway.
Just in the highway. But I didn't have Brian come tonight because I don't really think there's much here that is too, we've already discussed the capital plan. We put the $50,000 in for direct capital expenditures towards a payment on a down payment or whatever you wanna call it on the new dump truck. But other than that,
What about, didn't we talk about the fact, and I don't know whether that goes in here or is already in here, the, related bank stabilization, retreatment, isn't it our year for
it is.
retreatment?
It is.
So that's just, does that go elsewhere? Or
It's
is it
not
going
going in here. It'll go in, when we get the revenue,
'Cause
it'll
we
go
don't
in as
know.
right.
Okay,
We don't know for 100% sure, and we'd have to just show the expense and the revenue,
right.
and it inflates our number as if we're gonna be way up, and we're not even sure we're going to get
Get
it.
it,
Yeah.
right.
So,
It is competitive or not?
not really.
I mean,
But,
it's, we're,
yeah.
we're likely to get it, we just
And remind me,
have
this
to go.
And the
The
other thing,
state,
Every,
Yeah.
every,
fifth year,
is 50,
Yeah.
okay.
we get,
we kind of get.
A chunk of money,
yeah.
and
It's
it's-
175,000.
I was gonna say, it's the better part of 200,
Yeah.
so
One of the
course.
things
that doesn't go far when it comes to pavement,
Yeah.
but.
Laura and I talked about it, and I said about what you're saying is should we, so I was talking it out with her, and I said, if we put it in there and we don't get the revenue, we still have voted to spend that much money.
Ooh,
Now, I know that with Brian,
right,
he would get that, okay, well, we're not,
right.
but it just inflates your numbers.
So
So-
when will we know?
I think we apply for it in March.
So we won't know before this
Right.
budget is voted on?
Right.
Okay.
And even then, it'll be an unbudgeted expense and an unbudgeted revenue.
Right.
So, and then our
Because there's
match,
not, there is a match?
there is
or
a
not?
match, but it'll come out of our $100,000.
Okay.
Yep,
And what is it, at 10%?
I think it's 10,
Yeah.
yeah. So, and the plan is to do, well, I think you said River Road, so. And what I've done is and we'll see this in a few weeks, is I'll show you the general fund budget next to the highway fund budget, and then I have a summary page that shows the overall increase from one year to the next because this is the year we're splitting it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've been kind of, as I do the budget, I have that page calculating and then calculating a tax rate at the same time just to see where we are. So we're pretty stable. But, so,
Just out of curiosity, you mentioned earlier contracted file or something along those lines?
part-time, like if somebody needs to be on call,
Oh, I see, okay.
yeah, if they're just out straight and usually what they do is the parking lots and these side roads and.
The library, sometimes the school.
Yeah.
And more often than
Generator or
not, in
something
the
like that,
past,
or-
it's been, well, no, because they're usually flat out too.
At one point it was Brad.
Brad, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But
He's got
it's
couple
usually
people.
sort of an independent person
Yeah.
who
Okay,
isn't committed to a huge number, because most of these guys, if the town is buried, they're buried too. Darrag's being a good
Yeah.
example, they have so many driveways, et cetera.
yeah.
So it's usually somebody who just has their own plow truck and
Yeah, I see,
will come. So, okay.
So, do you guys have any questions about this budget?
Good.
I can't think of anything else that stands out. And I think in the past, as we've done budgets, you guys have kind of voted on each budget as I present. We'll do a final vote, and because I think last year we voted and I still have to change something, and just do a final vote in January when we have everything I know we're done.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay.
Any social services?
Yep, so the social service, so one thing I wanted to just mention, which is different, which we forgot that we would run into this when we separated out the highway, is that we calculate the social service dollar
Based on
amount
percentage.
based on the percentage of the general fund budget is what it says. Well, the highway has always been part of the general fund budget. So I think maybe at some point we will change the language of that policy, but the social service numbers that I gave you, and there's a part on the back, is based off of the highway and general fund added together. Because I did it, and I'm like, wow, that's really low.
So we don't have another budget that functions like the, well, sewer and water
Yeah,
are separate.
yeah.
But it's really only the highway fund
Yeah,
that would change, because in the past, sewer and water have always been separate from general fund anyway.
Right,
and they're voted independently.
right,
so-
and they're billed by a different tax
Entity.
entity, they're, I
Right.
mean, they're paid for by the users, not the,
Right.
yeah. So the major change to the social service agencies, unless we have somebody that wants to be added as a social service agency, is that the Brattleboro Area Drop-In Center
Mhm.
and Morningside is now merged as one into Groundworks Collaborative.
Right.
So that dropped two of them off to make it the one. So that group is going to get a little bit more money because there's now 9 instead of 10.
So is it only that group that's gonna get a little more money, or,
Well, all of them, right?
yeah, they all should?
No.
The way,
No, because Group A receives 47% of the budget.
right,
Group B receives 39 and Group C receives 14. So I calculate that first based on the total number that they get.
okay,
Then it's
And
divided
then
by
it's
the
the
number of
distribution.
entities in each
Okay.
group.
yeah. So does Groundworks have to apply for this?
We
This
told
year.
them that they, you mean be on the ballot? I mean be on the warning?
Well, I can't remember is that how we usually do it, that it has to be warned?
Well-
Because if it's a new entity, technically they have to
It
be
is
added.
new, but it's not.
Right, no, I
So
get
I
it.
think that that's gonna be a decision that we should probably make. I think between when Laura and I were talking about it, we were feeling like no, because they still are doing the same work that was presented.
It's just a different name.
It's just a different name, but, and we clearly, I know Laura clearly told them they needed to explain what was going on in their report,
Mm-hmm.
and report on the other entities, and now explain what this merger is. But if we want to have them, I mean, we could put them on the warning without them having to petition, so that they could come in and at least explain it. But I think my initial reaction was, it's the same entities doing the same work under one name,
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so.
I don't have a problem with it, it's just whether there's
Yeah,
any reason we sort of ought to do it for transparency or
Transparent,
anything
right.
else. I don't think I guess what I would say is we should just be prepared to explain that at town meeting.
yeah.
So.
And the other thing I made sure was that Groundworks Collaborative understood that they were now one entity,
And writing one report.
and we're getting one
Mhm.
payment.
Right.
We're not,
Right.
Getting
and
together
and
one
they,
page.
yeah, so that was relayed to them,
$44 or-
yeah. So, I mean, I don't know, you should probably make that decision tonight, whether you want me to tell them they need to come before a town meeting or not.
Is it Josh that you spoke with?
I didn't
there?
talk to
Oh, you
anybody,
didn't talk to anyone?
no, I don't know who sent in the
He's- I'm
report.
not sure.
Well, I
He-
guess he's the one that
He was
sent
at
in the
Morningside.
report,
Right.
Okay.
yeah.
I think as long as,
Yeah,
I
I
think we
mean,
just should, when we're voting on the social services budget, we should explain it.
yeah, okay,
So,
yeah, because
you
it,
know, maybe what we could ask them to provide us with is just, you know, a very short paragraph of what exactly it is that's happening.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's,
All right,
it
I don't-
sort of seems obvious, but
I think it, it's fairly clear, the explanation, of the breakdown, but sure, it can't hurt.
to have them,
Yeah, I mean,
have
he
them
has-
tell
Someone
us.
wants to question it.
We could even-
Exactly.
We have
we
our
can
base
even, or we can
absolutely.
ask him if he can come. It doesn't necessarily have to be a article, but
Mhm.
he could come speak at that point.
Yeah.
I mean, he wrote something about it here. He talks about them combining and talks about their merger, so this could be what we talk,
That's
Oh,
fine.
yeah.
yeah,
As long as we have
something,
something to clearly explain
Yeah,
it,
okay.
I don't think he needs to come. He could if he wants to.
yeah.
That would be my feeling.
Okay, so we are
I think we
not,
should make him come. No, it's just to give him a hard time.
Flex some
Just to give you a
muscle.
hard time, Josh.
so we are not going to have them we won't do a separate article for them. Just have it explained during, yeah.
I'm okay with that.
So as far as any of it, I mean, I read through the summary, I did read through some of the reports. It doesn't look like anybody should be moved to a different group. They all seem, you know, they're servicing Putney clients. It didn't seem like anybody really, you know, dropped off the radar as far as not serving. The number that I have so far that will be distributed through all of them is around, it's $39,999. That's based off the current numbers that I have for the highway and general fund. It'll change a little bit as I tweak the budget a little bit more, but it's gonna be pretty close to that.
Copies of sewer and water?
No, we're gonna table those.
Oh, we are,
Yeah,
not quite ready.
not quite ready. Sewer was ready, but water wasn't. I wanted to do them at the same time. We're trying to nail down a good number for the consultant that we would like to hire to do everything is done for water and sewer as far as reviewing every single account, accounting for what ERUs are out there, what's been allocated. So we have a big spreadsheet that has all of that on it. Now it's just having somebody help us
Review that.
interpret that
Yeah.
and what does that mean for us so we are in much better shape than we were last year. We cleaned up some accounts, but it's just really having somebody so I've just gotta get that number, cause that's a number I need to put in those budgets. So we'll do that at the next meeting. So that's all I have for budget.
Okay. So it looks like town manager report.
I just wanted to hand this out to you. Tom and I have been talking about fire department stuff and recruiting and all of that, and he wanted me to give a copy of this to you guys. He is going to do a bi-monthly kind of a summary of what's been going on at the fire department, so you can stay a little bit more in touch with what he's trying to do. He'll put on here about recruitment plans when he works on that. I did want to let you know that he's in the middle of taking an online leadership class that he's working on and has signed up on his own. So it's just an attempt to just stay a little bit more connected so that you guys can have a good idea of what's going on down there and what's being worked on. So
Great.
he'll be doing that. And this was something that he wanted to do. I mean, I hadn't had a chance to talk to him about it. He came up with it and wanted to do that, so it wasn't something I asked for. It was,
Great.
yeah. That came in while we were having our party today, so I haven't even had a chance to read it and ask him any questions, but. These I'm gonna give to you to take and read. There's two, give those two to him. They're two different ones.
Okay.
They're the letter from Windham Regional with the summary of the wood heat initiative. This, apparently they did send me something back in October. It got lost in my email junk stuff. So they made recommendations on both buildings. Tom and I actually have had a conversation about the amount of oil that we've been using, and he had somebody come last Friday and look at it. That person that looked at it thinks they've found what's causing the furnace to run so much. So I need to sit down with him and talk to him about that. Windham Regional said that if we want to move ahead with either of these, we have to have an energy audit. Some of the energy audit that we had done on this building already may be able to be translated to that. They may not have to do the full audit. And that should be done in the winter, which would be this budget cycle. So I just have to, I have to take some time to sit down and see. I think they felt like this building probably was a better candidate than the building down there. They felt like that system was pretty efficient as far as the actual, oil furnace, that it was a pretty new system, obviously, and fairly efficient. So there were some other things they suggested in the letter that we might want to do first. So this will come back up. I need to get through budget season before I can do this again, yeah.
Out of curiosity, how old is the furnace here?
I can't remember the year of it, but does it say in here?
I don't think it's been replaced in our tenure.
Not in our tenure.
It's had some tweaking.
Yeah, right, but I believe it's the same.
I wanna say late nineties, right around the turn out, something like that, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. I don't wanna say the problem with this, but this program, they will pay for 75% of the assessment, but 25% of the construction, and the town is, so there's money available, but for the construction
But
piece,
not a lot.
not a lot.
Right.
So part of me for the town hall is just a little bit, it's like, should we wait until maybe we get some money, if we're gonna talk about Historical Society helping us get some money, renovate upstairs, and we're gonna be doing there's this whole other, there might be a whole nother pocket of money available to help us upgrade that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. So,
Plus, if we were gonna do an upgrade like that, my inclination would be to look hard at doing a hydronic system as opposed to an air system. I don't, I think you could do either, but,
It's true, it is all
but
forced
pellets-
there.
Yeah,
it's
it
all
is.
just, it's just a forced air system,
Yeah.
so, particularly if we were gonna, like you said, gonna be adding the second floor.
Yeah,
that would be
it
time
just-
to go to water.
well, and part of it is that the assessment they wanna do, that would be the third energy audit we've had in this building it's like, how many do we need to pay for it? And it's not even that we're paying for it, a lot of it have been paid through grants, but somebody's paying for it,
Right.
so.
We are.
Yeah, so there's, part of me for the fire station, I really wanna see if we can get a handle on if there's a problem right now with why the furnace is running so much down there, because we're burning a lot of oil right now. And it's
And it's
50
not cold.
degrees out,
Yeah.
so,
As they say in here, it potentially would be a good backup system to a wood unit.
Yeah.
That would be, these things are also hard to consider when oil is the price that it is.
but it won't stay
That's
that
right.
way.
It's not gonna stay that way. It's just not possible, so,
I suppose
I
if you
think
have
we
both,
should-
you go with whatever's cheaper, that way, if you have I don't know, because I don't know how much wood, is it a wood chip system or is it pellets?
Pellets.
Pellet, yeah.
Those aren't cheap.
No, but it tends to run, well, right now they're up a little bit because
Yeah.
demand is up and it hasn't dropped
Yeah.
relative to oil prices, but, typically, historically,
They
it's
have
run
been.
roughly
Yeah.
half price,
Yeah.
which is, when you're looking at burning 3,000 gallons of oil
Yeah,
at, $4 a gallon,
yeah,
that's a substantial savings.
yeah.
But at $2 a
So-
gallon,
Yeah, so right now, with the fire station, I think we need to get a handle on what's going on down there right now to know if there's something going on right now that's causing it not to run as efficient as it should, then we need to get a handle on that, because that may throw out this whole the cost to benefit ratio
Right,
of putting
Right,
that in.
there's a-
You know, the way it's
a
running
repair
right now,
that
yes, but
affected
these people, and I can't remember who Tom said they were, seem to think they understand what the issue is.
Hmm.
And he told me, and I need to be told again. So, so that's what happened with that.
Efficiency.
But that's.
I mean, if
that's
they were
not in
saying
here.
that it was 75% of the construction cost and 25% was the town match,
Right,
I think I would be like
jump at it.
jumping
yeah.
at it, but I don't know, that's a lot. And it's I don't know, but one of them said it was a 20-year, was it this? Yeah.
Simple payback period under 20 years.
Yeah. So,
Um,
I'll keep you posted on. But I don't think that I'm gonna do anything with it until we get the budget approved, and then I'll look into it again. I wanted to let you guys know that next Thursday is Christmas Eve, Friday is Christmas. Laura and I would like Christmas Eve off. We'll take a vacation day to do it. I talked to the girls in the town clerk's office. They said that they would probably do the same. So we'll probably the whole town office will be closed, but it will be a personal day or a vacation day because that's not a paid holiday for us. And then we'll work on Christmas Eve. I told Brian about it. He said they'd probably work till noon or 1 on Christmas
Work
Eve. So.
Christmas Eve. You won't work Christmas.
Well, we won't work Christmas Eve, but New Year's we will.
You will.
Yeah, New Year's Eve.
Take that
Well, I
off
don't
too.
know. Seems awfully.
2.5 days or something.
New Year's Eve though, I mean, I gotta stay awake at least until 9 to make it till midnight, so I should do something during the day. So, in your packet is the draft audit. I got it from John the other day. He will be in, I think he's gonna be in that January 12th meeting. He's gonna come here to do some more testing. That day, he'll come to that meeting that night to just have a sit down with you guys and go over stuff. He's still trying to figure out how to write up the finding for the IRS penalty.
Anything going on?
I went to the IRS office in Brattleboro yesterday, and Anita has been getting notices that she has gotten paperwork to them, and they haven't had time to review it. So it's like a monthly thing that she's been getting. So they have the request for abatement, they have the paperwork there. It's just a matter of them getting through it. I got the sense from the woman that was working with me yesterday that there is a high probability that we will, once everything is in, because it's the forms, it will be abated. If it's not, we have an appeal process we can go through. So for the budget this next year, I'm not gonna worry about that, because I think it's gonna be a long
It's
enough,
gonna go on.
it's gonna go on for a while.
Process.
There were some other non-binding emails, that she gave me every, it was some 941s that hadn't been, sent. I gave that list to Anita today and she's gonna work on it. Some of it might be, we're still doing paper copies of things, and it just might be that it's just not being processed fast at the IRS, and this
Yeah.
woman looking at the screen yesterday was saying, you know, some of
It's
these
not
take
there
20
yet.
weeks to
Yeah.
process,
Yeah.
so we need to start getting the electronic process going so that doesn't happen.
Speaking of, how's your computer system?
Good, we have still some tweaks, scanning's not working. As far as the computer system, it's fine, it's the things that are attaching to it that were the copier. I think probably I'm gonna put some money in the general fund budget for next year for a new email service, because our email is giving us a really hard time.
What is it?
Well, Daniel has he does it through a third-party email service for us, and he had to switch for some reason, and now we have these limitations on how many we can send out, and we're having some synchronization problems where all of our email is being stored there, so we're meeting our maximum capacity. So I did send an email out asking other towns what they use. Got some really good feedback, and I'm gonna research some of those companies, but there's a fee for it that's gonna be more than what we've been paying. But it'll be more cloud-based than this, and so we'll be able to get it anywhere, and when we get new computers, we don't have to worry about this so much.
Right.
Yeah, so that's been a little bit of, but other than that, yeah, I mean, Laura,
It was
that
nice.
first day she was using it, I haven't seen her that happy using
It
it.
works.
She used to have to click on stuff and walk away. But I can say it now because we've been, what has been a week. They came in, there were 2 guys, put the server in, set all these computers up, and we've only really had a few minor problems.
Mhm.
So they did a really good job, yeah. As far as the audit goes, he gave me, he did 12 adjusting entries. And there were 4 of them that I hadn't done. The other ones were ones I had given him prior to the. So when I saw 12, I'm like, I couldn't have had 12 adjusting entries. But when I looked them up, it was most of them I had given him after I had given him the initial trial balance. So.
Any findings other than the IRS?
I think the cemetery will be a finding again, because that hasn't been addressed. I haven't been talked to about it, but nothing else that's, so. I have had a couple people call me that their dog license check from this year hasn't been deposited, so I think we're gonna have to have that discussion again.
I don't know if you remember, I was trying to remember, at the very beginning, you used a certain term about this draft budget, you said.
The draft budget or the draft audit?
Or
The
audit, I mean, gosh, I wish I could remember it now. Assessing, or,
Testing.
oh, testing.
Was it testing?
Yeah.
That he's gonna come back and do testing?
What does that mean?
Basically what he does is they have a program that runs a sampling based on what we give them. It runs a sampling and it spits it out, and they go and they check, was the invoice signed, was the check written to who the, was it cashed, did it go through the proper procedures as far as being approved by the board, so all of that stuff.
I
So
see.
it's like a sampling of like 25 different payments.
Okay.
Some of them are really,
It's really interesting stuff.
Yeah.
If you want to be here, well,
That's-
that's
We'll print you out 1,100 pages to check that out.
so it's just kind of a random sampling of,
Yeah.
making sure
Yeah,
the system
making
works
sure,
the way
yeah.
it
Yeah,
should.
no, it makes sense, yeah,
Yeah.
I guess I wasn't aware of that.
yeah.
Yep.
So,
Financial report, we got warrants,
is it there?
and,
While you're signing those, I'll just tell you quickly that I got an email. Did you guys get the email from Dan Toomey? You did?
yeah,
Okay, about the
When?
I think,
December 11th, it says Friday.
yeah, I guess Friday.
They met, the finance committee met for Windham Solid Waste, and they're looking, you might have seen it in the paper, they're looking
I did
for a
see it.
fee for service model,
Yeah.
that towns can pick which services they want. So they're starting to review that. He also did say that the assessment that they gave us in their budget proposal might be up a little bit from what we originally got, but I haven't gotten anything from them, due to some small changes that they need to consider, he said. So, well, it was down. It was our assessment's decrease of 11%, but it's gonna be up a little from that. It's gonna be more than what they told me. There, how's that? But it's still down.
Clear. Spit it out.
Yes.
Yeah, someone said, I still have to ask you about it, I already asked Scott.
What? Whether we recommend it?
Right, whether, yeah.
I encouraged him to.
Right.
Geez, you had a captive
Yeah,
audience
let's
here
see
this
if this-
afternoon. You should have gotten this is a good place to politic at that luncheon.
Well, I was gonna
You
do
usually
that.
get that form filled out in one.
I got it from Denise.
In one sitting.
I was gonna do it, and then I got to talking and forgot about it until Louise started handing hers
First
out.
rule of politics: learn when to stop talking.
That's right.
I know that there are some people that wanna leave to go to different functions tonight. But I did remember that I needed to bring this up, which I hope it's not gonna be a long conversation, but, I did get, the listers met on Monday, and they made some changes to their budget. And one of the changes was to add a little bit more money to, the mapping section from 15 to 1800 to reflect the few more changes that will come between now and when we meet with the mappers. They are requesting that we increase the hours by 1 hour from 32 to 33, and that Kathleen will get the 23 instead of the 20. No, what did we say before? 20? Yeah, we had said 22, 5, and 5. Instead of the 22, she would get the 23, so an extra hour. So I need to know on those two things if you guys want me to change that in.
But that was already an increase from 28, 26
26 was what was in the budget last year.
previous.
32 is what was
We
suggested
suggested,
the other night
right.
after we went through that discussion. They met, and I shouldn't say she, they met as a board. And what I got from her was that to change it from 32 to 33.
I thought we were pretty clear.
Yeah, and I
Yeah,
think,
how many
Okay,
times do we
was.
have to,
Yeah.
reiterate this?
and I think we might find that it's gonna end up taking less hours overall once these other guys are trained, so it doesn't make sense to start increasing it now, in my mind, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I think the logic behind why we stayed where we was to basically make that happen.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's,
Okay, so we'll keep it at 32, and then the mapping, do you think the three, is that?
does that seem,
I guess I have no idea what mapping costs. I mean,
Have we figured out whether there's any way of somehow jiving that with, I mean, doesn't the town want to make, or, you mentioned something about making maps with overlays and all that stuff?
yeah, I would
Rather
like
than
to.
being redundant with
I would like to, but at some point, we're going to have the conversation with the mappers, and that just hasn't happened.
Okay.
So I think to put at least the 1800 in there to at
and then
least
if we
get
don't
the
spend
changes.
it, we don't spend it.
Right,
Yeah.
and then maybe in the next 6 or 8 months, we can have a conversation
Mhm.
with the mappers about what that cost would look like if we were to do that,
Okay,
yeah.
so I was gonna ask, yeah, the chain, is that chains for the new grader?
Yeah, chain truck.
Didn't they have to get chains for the grader?
Yeah, but I thought they got
Yes.
those already.
Yeah, didn't they get
Yeah,
thrown
I have
in
to
with
look
it?
at
Oh,
the
it's,
invoice.
yeah, the invoice should be here. B&B chain, description, chain, BB chain truck.
That wasn't anything that was part of the insurance. Does it say insurance on that bill? I don't think they sold chains, but.
No. It doesn't say.
It's not the grader, I don't think.
specifically
Yeah, no, that would be
what it is.
probably more than that even.
Yeah,
It's probably just a new set of,
I imagine they must wear them
I
out
don't know.
in the past. The next meeting is on the 30th, and it happens that I'm gone from the, like the
You're
24th
gonna have to come
to
back.
the 30th. I get back today, I might be a little late, if you postpone it till about 11.
that's all right. We'll figure it out.
Okay.
We'll probably have to have, when are you leaving?
Probably, well, it's gonna be 24th,
Scott
somewhere,
knows that.
23rd or
Okay.
24th.
So maybe we'll
Get that
shoot for, maybe we'll try to have just a quick meeting at some point next week about the insurance.
Okay,
Because that will be the only thing really, I mean, I can't remember, I mean, we're just gonna keep working on the budget.
right.
You know, next time we'll have water and sewer. And then probably the January meeting, the first one is where we'll have, I'll say, okay, this is pretty
This
much
is,
it,
okay,
yeah.
yeah.
That's, he works at the library, somewhere?
Oh, I don't know, must be. Yeah, that's not,
Betsy Helen.
Oh, yeah, she works
At the library,
Yeah,
does she?
yeah. Part-time, it can't be that much, right?
No, it's not
Yeah.
Adrian, I just, I
Yeah.
don't remember having seen her name on there
She-
before.
Yeah, she's, oh, I see, yeah, she's not there that often. So, that's it.
if we have a meeting next week, is like in the afternoon okay at some point? Or do you wanna do it in the evening? Like,
Next week, doesn't really matter to me. I would want it to be later in the, you
Like
know, if
4?
we could do 4:30.
okay,
On which day would that be?
I don't know.
I mean, ideally,
If not Thursday.
yeah,
Right.
well, I
Well, I'm
mean,
not gonna be here.
Right.
well, and for, I know for me that if I can swing it, I gotta figure some stuff out.
Yeah.
We would like to get out of here,
On Wednesday.
actually on Tuesday,
Oh.
Okay,
but, I mean, I realize.
well, if we, I mean, if
We can,
we can figure it out. I mean, I
We
think
can
it's gonna
also
be
do
pretty
something
clear what we
together.
wanna do with insurance once I get some
Mhm.
questions answered anyway,
Mhm.
so. I mean, and if I know something by Friday, I'll call you, you can stop and I can talk to you about it and you can tell me
Yeah.
what you think.
Yeah, that sounds good.
are you in town after Christmas
Yes,
or not?
I'm here for,
So that
For the
BCA
holidays.
meeting, are you likely to be able to make that? Cause we're
that
leaving
is
town.
the,
28th.
right, the
28th.
28th, right, yes. Yep, I will be
Cause I'm
here.
leaving, I don't know whether they're gonna.
Was
have a
asked about
quorum.
that today, was,
who's in-
I had suggested Monday was a better day, because I may.
Which I think is the 28th, isn't it?
Right, that's the 28th, those are the 2 dates.
I mean, I-
28th of the
Do we
29th.
wanna adjourn? She wants to go to a party.
Yeah?
I was just looking out for you. You didn't ask me to do that.
Yes, I'll move that we adjourn.
All right, second.
All in favor?
Aye,
Aye.
aye, aye, aye.
I won't get you in trouble, will I?
No, that's good, that way I can get to this thing.
Good night and thank you.
Yes.